This immigration drama that I see and hear and read about today is only possible because too many of you do not understand history. As a country, and particularly those of you of European descent, you are lying to yourselves about how you got here and for what reason. See, Indigenous and Inuit peoples in Canada, they know how they got here. Their people have been here for 20, 30,000 years. Their ancestors migrated from Northeast Asia over a land bridge and by boat during the last ice age. Historians refer to their ancestry as time immemorial. And a lot of Asian folks know too, particularly if their ancestors are from China. Because while there were no Chinese slaves in Canada per se, they were considered forced labor due to the horrific conditions, low wages, and discrimination which amounted to modern slavery. Around 17,000 Chinese workers were recruited from China by contractors to fill labor shortages for the Canadian Pacific Railway between 1881 and 1884. They were given the most dangerous jobs, resulting in thousands of deaths, worked 14 to 16 hours a day, faced severe discrimination, were paid half the wages of their white counterparts, and endured terrible living conditions, including living in tents in the elements, while white workers were housed in train cars. While the workers were not legally chattel slaves, their lack of choice, deplorable working conditions, and systematic exploitation were similar to forms of forced labor or debt bondage. They were brought to Canada through recruitment systems that often involved a mixture of voluntary and involuntary aspects, making their experiences a dark chapter in Canadian history. And then faced deportation and discrimination if they stayed, including what was called a head tax, an unfair taxation of the very slave labor they were brought here to be. But those of us from Europe, we have all these lies we like to tell ourselves. And too many of you believe the lies. How the lies present is the people saying, well, I don't mind them coming. I just want them to come legally, like my people did. I mean, what the hell does that even mean? Come legally? There was no law to break when your people came here, Martha. The fact that they didn't break a law that didn't even exist? You don't get a pat on the back and a gold star for that, Chad. Because your great whatever was law-abiding only because there was no law to violate? That's the first lie. And the second one is that your people came for those supposed upstanding principles. They'll say things like, well, our people came for liberty and freedom. These people are just coming for handouts. They're just coming to take our jobs and use our health care and get free housing. They're coming to take our stuff. We came for high-minded principles. Right. What kind of third grade history is that? I'll circle back to that in a minute, but the third lie is when people say, well, these other countries aren't sending their best. Wait, what? You think Europe sent their best? Your people were the losers of Europe. You get that, right? The winners didn't get on the boat, son. You understand what I'm saying? The winners didn't leave. Why the hell would you leave if you were already winning over there? So no, only the losers left because they had no choice. They were dying, starving. They couldn't support their families. They had no land. They could barely afford to feed themselves. They had little savings. And they were promised if they came over here, they would be granted 100 acres of land if they cleared it within a certain amount of time. They were given a horse and some tools also, and rations. The bottom line is they came here and took someone else's stuff, brought their entire extended family. They came with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Your people didn't come here for liberty and freedom. They came here for the free stuff and never questioned where that stuff came from. Meanwhile, immigrants of today must pass a financial solvency test, must place sufficient funds in a Canadian bank account to survive on initially, have to pay way more for education than Canadians. They aren't handed land and livestock and tools. So it's high time you quit lying to yourself about how your people got here and under what pretense. We're all part of one race, the human race. And the entirety of the world is borders that are imaginary. They're imaginary lines drawn on a globe by people who believe they're real. It doesn't matter where we're from or where our ancestors were from. No one has the right to tell anyone else where they can live or what language they may speak or what religion they practice or what culture they celebrate. Period. Full stop. Peace out. And if you're not already following me, you should. It's going to be a ride.